Yeah, welcome to the first physical press conference we are having since, I think, March 2020. It's been a long time, so nice to see all of you once again. And today is the 79th anniversary of the Quit India Day. And on the slogan of Quit Modi, Save India, the working class, the peasantry and the agricultural worker are in a nationwide protest action demanding the repeal of the agri laws, the MSP legal right, and opposing this large-scale privatization and repeal of the labor laws. Against all these anti-people policies of this government and on these demands, there's big protests that are going on all across the country. The CPIM expresses its complete solidarity and support with these. And we are demanding of the Modi government that immediately withdraw these agri laws and enact a legislation to the right to the farmers to sell at an MSP, that is cost C2 cost plus 50%. This must be done immediately. That is the demand. And on this day, we also pay homage to all our freedom fighters who gave us this freedom. 79 years ago, this day was happened. And on the 50th anniversary of the Quit India movement, the then President of India, in a midnight session in the Parliament, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, he pointed out the role of the communists in 1942 as being, quoting from the British Home Ministry records, that the communists were uncompromising anti-British revolutionaries during 1942, and the same Home Department had recorded the role of the Sangh as having scrupulously following the rule of law in 1942. So who were the revolutionaries fighting for India's freedom and who were the ones betraying it? It's very obvious, and today, on this day, we need to recollect this point. Well, the communique of the Central Committee is there before all of you. We discussed essentially three issues: the review of the assembly elections, the current political developments, and the tasks that flow from there, and the campaign call, and the convening of the 23rd Party Congress of the CPIM. As far as the election review are concerned, our conclusion is that these round of results has been a setback for the BJP, except for in Assam, where with a wafer-thin vote share margin of 0.78% difference between the Mahajot and the BJP front, they retained their government. But in all the other three major states, that is Bengal, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, there was a very, very big setback for the BJP. Despite their using their money power, their machinations, the central agencies, the departments, and misusing them, despite all that, they could not gain, and this creates conditions for a larger unity of forces, political forces, and secular opposition to launch more stronger protest movements in the country against this misrule. As far as Kerala is concerned, we have hailed the people of Kerala for reposing their faith once again in the LDF, an unprecedented thing that has happened in nearly half a century. Incumbent government being re-elected and re-elected on a better margin, more seats. And this is essentially an endorsement of the manner in which the earlier government functioned, the alternate policies that the Kerala has been offering to the neoliberal direction of the country and what Modi has been following, the work done during the natural disasters and calamities, and particularly on the public healthcare system and the management of the pandemic, On all these issues, the people's endorsement is being very clearly visible. So new responsibilities for the party in Kerala, for the LDF, and the Central Committee discussed how these responsibilities will have to be discharged, and the State Committee now will carry this forward through the process of implementation. In Bengal, the salutary factor has been the defeat of the BJP, despite its high-profile campaign and determined bid to capture the state. The people of Bengal rose as one to defeat the communal forces and Hindutva as an ideology that was seen to be imposed on Bengal and its culture. This is a salutary factor, as I said. But in that desire to defeat the BJP, it was the Trinamool Congress and not the alternate combination of the Congress, the Left Front, and the ISF, Indian Secular Front. This combination was not seen as a viable option to defeat the BJP. And in that polarization, we got squeezed out. As far as the party is concerned, for the CPIM, it's been a very disastrous result. For the first time since 1946, no communist has been elected to the assembly in Bengal. This is unprecedented so far. And we have therefore, in a very serious self-critical introspection, examined the reasons why this has happened, identified the problems that exist, and the organizational weaknesses that need to be corrected. These lessons were drawn by the Central Committee, and this will now be taken up by the State Committee in Bengal, and the suggestions on how to implement these corrections, that will be undertaken by the party State Committee there. In Tamil Nadu and Assam, Tamil Nadu we won two MLAs, in Assam we won one. And post-elections also there are challenges that will have to be undertaken there. So those have also been discussed, and now the state committees will work out and to implement these decisions in the post-election situation in these states. As far as the political developments are concerned, the main issue is the fact that COVID pandemic continues to take its toll. Disturbing fact is that the last week we're told that the cases, infections are on the rise again. And though the second wave seems to have passed, but it has not ended. And there is a very, very strong possibility of all scientists suggesting the outbreak of a third wave, which they say can happen between the end of August and November. Now, in order to protect ourselves from a more catastrophic third wave, what is needed is large-scale vaccination. The government, in an affidavit, told the Supreme Court that by the end of the year, the entire adult population will be fully vaccinated. But as of today, only 11.3% of our adult population has got both the doses. I hope all of you have got both the doses. All of you have got both the doses. And 40%, including this 11.3, are the ones who got a single dose. At this rate, if we have to meet the target, year-end target, we require to vaccinate at the rate of 1 crore vaccinations every day till that day. There are no vaccines in supply. Every state is complaining of shortages. So what is required for the central government is immediately procure vaccines globally. Immediately, and then intensify the vaccination drive. Door to door, if necessary, allow the states to do it, where whoever is willing to do it, and stop fudging data in order to deny ourselves the truth. That is going to be more dangerous. Unless you know the exact truth, we don't know how to handle it properly. This obfuscation of data that is being done is self-defeating. And that is what they should stop and immediately intensify the vaccination drive. And this COVID mismanagement that is going on, creating problems and miseries for the people. It comes on top of the virtual destruction of the Indian economy. Unemployment is galloping, and along with unemployment, poverty levels have risen very, very sharply. All global agencies have in their indices. On their index, India's poverty graph is going up alarmingly. And this comes along with high degree of joblessness and low incomes. And on top of that is this runaway inflation. Now, all this put together is not only compounding the misery of the people, but it is also deepening economic recession. As people spend less, the economy further shrinks. Because unless there is demand in the economy, there cannot be any revival. With this inflation, households are getting into debt, indebtedness. Most of their money and earnings is being spent on survival. There's nothing is being spent virtually on buying anything else. So no industry, no MSMEs, nothing can revive unless they have their money in the hands of the people to spend. And that can be done only through a massive income transfers to the people. Modi should learn from Biden, from the European Union. The European Parliament in its budget has now sanctioned a new stimulus package of $2.1 trillion. Biden has sanctioned a stimulus of $1.9 trillion. Most of it is direct money transfers to the people. So they are going to revive their economies, while we, despite our asking, PM Modi from day one, direct income transfers at least 7,500 rupees per family outside of the tax bracket, those who don't pay the income tax, every month. Only when you do something like this, people can survive and economy can grow. And that is what the Central Committee demands that the government must do. And instead of addressing these problems, it is the BJP, ruling BJP and the central government that is instrumental in disrupting the parliamentary. Its refusal to discuss the Pegasus military spyware issue, that is leading to the stalemate. The farmers' agitation is going on, a historic thing that in post-independent India, you never had something like close to 9 months, such a peaceful and such a huge protest action. None of these issues will be discussed in the parliament. Now they say you discuss the farmers' issue, but not repeal of laws. That is the demand. That is what we have demanded even before this farmers' agitation started. We opposed these ordinances when they came. And Pegasus, of course, they say there's nothing to discuss. Now, France has ordered an inquiry. Mexico has ordered an inquiry. Israel itself is investigating on the role of the NSO, whether this spyware is being misused or not. But the Indian government refuses. There's only one question we are asking Modi to answer. Has the government or any of its agencies had the contract with the Israeli NSO, the leader, world leader in cyber surveillance, for the use of Pegasus military spyware for surveillance of individuals? Answer this question. The refusal to answer is the confirmation that the government is doing it. Many of your profession, their names have come, politicians' names have come, an ex-judge of the Supreme Court's name has come. From the registry of the Supreme Court, the officers' names have come. An ex-election commissioner's name has come. An ex-CBI director's name has come. So this is ominous in the sense it's not only a violation of the fundamental right to privacy of an individual, but it is attacking every institution of constitutional democracy in India. The Supreme Court, the Election Commission, the CBI. and the media. This is actually tantamount to the undermining or the destruction of Indian democracy. This is something that is not acceptable. Therefore, we have demanded, along with the others, that there should be a high-powered judicial inquiry under Supreme Court's monitoring to identify, to answer these questions and to identify who's responsible and take action against the guilty, punish them. This is absolutely necessary. So while I said at the beginning, we extend our support to the Kisan struggle as well as all the other struggles undertaken by various sections of the Indian people, the workers, the women, the youth, the students. They're all on a war path against the situation and demanding that educational institutions must be reopened, but conditions for that must be created. Treat the teachers, the staff, and the students as frontline health workers, vaccinate them fully, leading to an early opening of our educational institutions. Otherwise, it's creating havoc. The child trafficking has increased, child labor has increased, petty crimes being committed by children and youth has increased. The entire social cohesion of India is being destroyed. Now, if this is not urgently tackled, and particularly the girl child trafficking, this is something reaching inhuman levels. So immediately create conditions for the reopening of educational institutions by vaccinating everybody with the double doses. And that is absolutely necessary for our future, for not wasting our youth today. Our demographic dividend, our positive thing that we have, don't convert that into a demographic liability. That is what this Modi government is doing, converting the advantages of a demographic dividend into a demographic liability for the country. The Central Committee condemned the attacks that are continuing and a reign of terror that is continuing in the state of Tripura. Our party offices have been burnt in various subdivisional places in Tripura, in Kamalpur, in Belonia, in other places also. Our leaders have been attacked physically and very badly injured. Our leaders have gone and met the governor and the chief minister who promised that this violence will stop, but nothing has happened. In fact, this reign of terror continues to intensify. We are calling upon the state government to put an end to these brazen attacks on the opposition and protect the democratic rights in the state. The Central Committee congratulated all the Olympic medal winners that made India proud. For the first time, India has won a medal in athletics, which we have never won before, and that too a gold, which is a great achievement. And it is really heartening the spirit with which the Indian women's hockey team played. And 3 of the 6 medal winners are women. This is a very heartening news. And while congratulating all of them for making India proud, we said despite these sterling performances, and all of you have reported the conditions in which these athletes come from, how inadequate their training has been. Despite that, they have achieved this glory. Means we have the talent in our country. We have it in abundance. This has to be properly nurtured. And the state support to sports facilities, both by the central and the state governments, must be enhanced immediately, learning from this example of these Olympics. And for the hockey team, to say it was not the central government, but the government of Orissa that provided them that facilities. That speaks volumes for how much the central government can and must do. And we demand that must be done immediately. And at the same time, we are very, very angry and we strongly condemn the manner in which caste slurs were heaped on the woman hockey player Vandana Kataria in Hardwar. I mean, we've seen such instances all over the world. When England lost the Euro final, we saw that sort of a racist attacks that came, but you saw how the whole country rallied together and united behind the players. What is the BJP state government doing against these people who heap these insults? We demand that they should be immediately punished, and this must set an example for the others that this sort of thing are not going to be accepted by our society. The Central Committee also decided that we will observe the 75th anniversary of India's independence. That falls actually 1922, 15th of August, but the year begins from 15th of August this year. That is our 75th anniversary year. So we'll begin this observations from this 15th August. And the main issue that we'll highlight is one of the role of the communists in the freedom struggle. The role of the communists post-independence in the creation of the linguistic states, in the creation of laws for land reforms, etc., and the contributions for people's betterment in independent India, and the expose the non-participation of the RSS, who at times even collaborated with the British during the course of the independence struggle, and to rally the people to safeguard and protect our constitutional secular democracy, which is being rapidly undermined by the Modi government and with the RSS vision of converting India, a secular democratic republic, into their version or an ideological construct of a rabidly intolerant, fascistic Hindutva Rashtra. That is the project that is going on now, and to mobilize people in defense of our constitution against this. The Central Committee then decided that the 23rd Party Congress of ours, we are now targeting of holding it in April 2022. If all goes well, and it will be convened in Kannur, that is in the state of Kerala, in April 2022. That is the decision of the Central Committee. So preparations for that have begun. We have a very, very vibrant and very intense inner party democracy. Every unit will have a conference, those what we call branches. Those are branch conferences. The branch conference process has begun. Then it will go up to the local committee conferences, to the area conferences, to the district committee conferences, to the state committee conferences, and delegates will be elected at each level to the party congress. So that process has begun. It normally takes about 6 months' time, but depending on the concrete situation of the pandemic and the consequent protocols, lockdowns, and all that will come, those adjustments will be made. But that is our target, April 2022. The Central Committee formulated 15 demands that have been listed in the communique that is there before you. And on the basis of these demands, we decided to give a call to the entire party to observe protest actions, programs during the whole month of September, depending again on the concrete protocol conditions for the pandemic. And through the month of September, the party will initiate and intensify these protest actions and mobilizing the people. Then, on the basis of the consolidation of the left parties and the left forces, to also draw in all the secular opposition forces who are willing to come on these demands into these protest actions. And this is the call that the Central Committee has given. So these are the major issues that we discussed. And after I told you, after more than 1.5 years, we had a partially physical, partially online. In the sense there were about 20, 25 of the Central Committee members who were present in Delhi. They were all physically present, while the outstation ones who couldn't travel here, they joined online. So that after 1.5 years, we could manage to hold this in this way. And while in between we have been having regularly our online Politburo meetings and Central Committee meetings. So the first time that this could happen. So this is the communique and the major decisions that we discussed in the Central Committee. Now any questions you want?
आपने कहा कि त्रिपुरा में रेन ऑफ टेरर चल रहा है और वहाँ डेमोक्रेटिक राइट्स को भी नहीं मान रही है सरकार। आप लोग राज्यपाल से सीएम से मिले थे, पर कोई फायदा नहीं हुआ, अभी भी चल रहा है। पिछले 2 सप्ताह से देख रहे हैं ट्विंस के लोग भी वहाँ जा रहे हैं, उनके ऊपर भी इस तरीके का दिया जा रहा है, वही बोल रहे हैं कि वहाँ 5,000 टाइप का माहौल है। तो आपके खिलाफ जो हमला हो रहा है वो और उनके खिलाफ जो इसमें कोई अंतर है, आप लोग दोनों के साथ देखिए।
देखिए, जो लोग उनके खिलाफ कर रहे हैं वो उन्हीं के लोग थे पहले, टीएमसी से ही तो गए वो, टीएमसी से ही तो पहले गए वो बीजेपी में। तो वो अब देख ले मतलब क्या है उनकी अंदरूनी की स्थिति। लेकिन सवाल ये है कि वहां पे माहौल जो है वो यही है कि एक आतंक का है, जो पहले बंगाल में भी हम देख चुके हैं चुनाव के बाद, 10 साल पहले की बात, मतलब उस समय जो हुई थी। और ये इसके खिलाफ हमारी पार्टी सबसे बड़ा शिकार है उसके लिए, जब से ये चुनाव हुए असेंबली के, और उसके बाद से ये लगातार निरंतर चल रही है, कोई अंकुश नहीं लग रहा। और वही बात हम फिर से दोहरा रहे हैं, राज्य सरकार की जिम्मेदारी है उसको ये पूरा करना है। ये पूरा एक राजनीतिक आतंक का माहौल है स्टेट। You see, the party Central Committee, the issue came up not only of Comrade Shailaja, but on this policy of dropping ministers and also candidates who contested twice and you won. That's a policy decision. So no exception could be made. Making any one exception would mean that that policy cannot be implemented, because you had the former finance minister, you had the former PWD minister, you had all very senior leaders also, who because of this policy did not contest. But the result shows that the people's acceptance for this policy, and that is being dynamic to the changes that are happening in the society. People expect changes to happen. New generations are coming through, and I think this was well received. This entire policy by the people of Kerala, and that is the final endorsement.
And whether you also demand the by-poll elections that West Bengal to be held within this span of 6 months, or you see a design in it to delay the elections?
Well, you see, from the manner in which the Uttarakhand Chief Minister's by-poll was not held, it looks as though there is some other game that the BJP is playing. Normally speaking, under the Constitution, within 6 months, the by-elections must be held. That is why the Constitution gives the right for a non-elected member to hold a position in government for the period of 6 months. Now, normally that should be done. If so much of big campaigns are going on for the UP elections now, with every day nauseating, multicolored ads saying everything is number one and very good in UP by Modi and Yogi, the most absurd untruths being told. If that sort of a campaign is continuing, we don't see why this should not be held. That they'll have to answer. Let's see. Yes. No, no, when you're wearing the mask, speak a little slowly. A little slowly because your pace doesn't. Ye. बाइपोले विषय बाइपोले विषय मैं बोलती हूँ और अब
75 years से ऊपर है. Those who are above 75 years.
हाँ?
She is saying that those above 75 years have you decided to keep them out of party positions?
Those our decision is those who will cross 75 years will be relieved from the central committee. The central committee age limit is 75. So the state committees normally they have it a few years lower than that because otherwise those who have 75 then they cannot come to the central committee. So state committees normally have it lower, but we left that to the state committees to decide what will be there here. But for the central committee, the age limit is 75.
For Politburo it is 77.
Huh?
For Politburo it is 77.
Politburo also.
77.
75 for everyone.
Comment, what are the critical introspections and results, collective results regarding West Bengal, especially in terms of alteration of
That's what we worked out all these things. The West Bengal State Committee is meeting on the 12th and 13th. I'll be going there. We'll be working out the details and then those concretely, all those measures will be announced. Let this exercise be completed by the State Committee, then we'll announce them.
about the introspections. What the introspections in your
It's all part of the same package. Introspection and the correction and the measures.
already in Banga, you are equally of TMC and BJP. After the election, still you have the same criticism on
Right from the beginning in Bengal, we said our principal political adversary, not only in Bengal but in India, is the BJP. But to achieve the defeating of the BJP in Bengal's conditions, then what we said was it should TMC should also be defeated. But the people saw, as I told you in the beginning, people had more faith in the TMC defeating the BJP than the combination of the left and the other forces. And so that is what was the result that came out. So right from the beginning, our principal target has always been, not only in Bengal, all over India, is BJP. That has to be isolated and defeated. In practice, in many places, that's what we said. In many places, it was both simultaneously or equally. That we said was wrong. That is not the party's understanding. But in practice, what happened? These are the things that need to be corrected. Okay. I'm sorry? Yeah, that's what is during the course of the particular. That is the decision. Beyond 75, they will be relieved. And Politburo members can only the Central Committee members can be Politburo members. There is nobody beyond 75 in the Central Committee. You can't have more than that in the Politburo. So these are the processes that will be put into motion now. Now that the process of the Congress has begun.
how do you see taxation?
Huh?
Taxation.
Taxation. Huh? Retrospective taxation, you see, this is be providing a bonanza for global corporates. But at the same time, there are very many international legal issues in which it is tied up. And you see in the arbitration cases where India is losing case by case internationally. Now that Keynes International has already confiscated Air India properties and it is selling them. So, I mean, it has to be weighed also in that scene, along with that international law in consonance with this, but providing bonanza for global corporates is something that we have strongly opposed.
Kerala Chief Minister.
In West Bengal, will you continue election alliance with ISL?
That is the thing. We have said that in all future elections, to maximize the pooling of the anti-BJP, anti-TMC vote, we'll align with all secular forces. That is the decision of the central government.
Okay, Kerala Chief Minister is above 75. So, first person will also go
You see, last time also we made an exception for some people. No, those holding positions like chief minister, etc. That the party will discuss. How to deal with that situation. But in principle, the position is 75 years of age. The 14 opposition parties now in the parliament opposing the government are the 14 opposition parties who for the last 1.5 years been issuing joint statements outside. The same parties have been issuing joint statements outside. We went and met the President of India on various issues. So it is that combination that is there in parliament because the session is being held. So this will continue outside also. TMC has always been there in all India when these sort of meetings and mobilizations. Mamata Banerjee's signature was always there in these 14 party statements. The 14 party statements begins with Sonia Gandhi, ends with Sitaram Yechury. In between is Sharad Pawar, in between is Uddhav Thackeray, in between is Mamata Banerjee, in between is Thiru Stalin now, after these elections. Before that, it would be one of the DMK leaders. So all these, Farooq Abdullah, everyone of the Akhilesh, Tejasvi, all these parties have been together on major issues during the course of this COVID pandemic and the lockdowns.
Can we see this coordination running a political conflict for an electoral?
Let us see, as and when elections come, you'll see those trends happening. You saw the Mahajot in Assam. You saw the DMK-led front in Tamil Nadu. So, as and when elections come, you'll find that taking a political shape. Okay.
So there is a chance for one
Where? Coming together doesn't mean electoral alliance.
Tripura any chance, sir?
You have to have a certain politics there, right? We are saying as in opposition to the BJP, its policies, secular opposition parties have come together. What will happen at the time of the election, that is a different matter. Huh? Untouchability for what? As protesting against BJP, no untouchability. Full stop. Beyond that, you can draw your conclusion. That this is for anti-BJP positions in that thing. That is it.
जो त्रिपुरा में चल रहा है वहाँ क्या टीएमसी और सीपीएम नहीं हो सकती है बीजेपी के खिलाफ?
अब देखिए त्रिपुरा के कांग्रेस सिचुएशन पर वो वहाँ पे क्या वर्ज होता है अभी पे उसके बारे में कुछ कहना असंभव है. ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच. Okay. You know what you want to do with this? Huh? Huh? Yeah, yes, sir.